Hello guys, and welcome to another tutorial in our Python for Beginner tutorial series. And in this tutorial, we'll be looking at the map function in Python. By the end of this tutorial, you will fully understand how the map function in Python works and how to effectively use this map function. To begin with, the map function is an inbuilt function in Python that helps you to apply a function to each item in an iterable. In Python, when we speak of iterable, example of iterables are list, tuples, or string. And when you are using this map function, one of the things to be mindful of is that it returns to you a map object. You'll see all of this in action soon. So I believe the best way by learning this map function is by solving some examples using this map function. First of all, to use the map function, you have to start with a keyword map, and then you give it your function which you want to apply to each item in your iterable, followed by the iterables. And this dot dot here means it can take more than one iterable. So we'll solve one example with one iterable, and the next example will be giving it two iterables. So let's start by solving our first problem. Okay, so I'll begin by defining a list here, and this list contains of numbers. Okay, 1 2 3 4 5. Okay, so this is an example of iterable. Okay, so you can see it said he applied the function to each item in an iterable. An example of iterable is a list. So this list here we have is also an example of iterable. So the question we are trying to solve here is for each item in this iterable or list, we are trying to find the square of it. Okay, so we take 1 and find the square of it, we take 2 and find the square of it, and this is how we can solve this using the map function. So the first thing is to define a function. So in this case, we'll be using lambda function, and if you are not familiar with lambda functions, I have a tutorial on it, so you can check in this particular playlist and get it. So I'll call this function add, and add will be equal to, I'll use the lambda function and give this lambda function a parameter called x, and all I want to do is to return x squared. So in Python, to write squared, you bring asterisk asterisk and 2. So this means you want to square the number. So now we fulfill our first task in using the map function, because we have to get a function and an iterable, and over here we have our iterable and we also have our function. So the next thing is to write the keyword map, and inside here we give it our function. What's the name of our function? Add. And the next thing is the iterable, and the name of our iterable is what? Numbers. So just by doing this, we are done using the map function. So let's assign this to a variable called result, and result is equal to this. And I'll go ahead as a gentleman and print result. All right, so let me run the code. Boom, and after running the code, we didn't get our answer, but we got something called the map object. Okay, so you can see map object at this particular memory location. All right, so before we started, I told you the map function returns to you a map object. Okay, so this is the map object you have gotten, which is also an iterator. So if you want your result, one hack to do is to wrap the whole map function in a list, and that's if you want your result to be returned as a list. So when I wrap this in a list and run this again, you can see I got my result, and this is the square of each number in my iterable. So this is how easy you can use the map function, and you can even make things simpler by even replacing this add here with the lambda function directly, making your code look much simpler. If I run this, you can see it still works. So you can see how you can transform this piece of data by using the map function. Without the map function, you have to loop through this, find the square and append it into a new list, which is not efficient, and also you write a longer line of code. Okay, so let's get to the next example which I talked earlier about, giving this map function more than one iterable. So in that case, let's start afresh. So I'll define my first iterable, which is also a list. I'll call it num1, and this is numbers from 1 to 5. And I'll do the same thing with num2, and num2 will be numbers from 6 to 10. Okay, so let's start 6 7 8 9 and 10. Okay, so now the idea is to add each number in num1 to num2. So let's say we'll add 1 to 6, we'll add 2 to 7, and we'll add 3 to 8, and we'll return a new list. Okay, so let's use the map function for this. So first, we know we have to define our function. Okay, so I'll call this function add, and add is equal to lambda. And what lambda does is that it will take two numbers. So it will take x and y, in this case, two iterables, our list. And I want this lambda function to what? Return x plus y. This is very simple, right? So it takes x and y. In this case, that will be our num1 and num2, and it returns x plus y. Now I can use my map function because I have both my iterables and my function ready. And I'll give you my function called add, and I will give you my iterable. So I'll give it num1 and I'll give it num2. And that's done. So I can still assign this to result, and result will be equal to, I want to take this as a list. So I'll wrap everything as in a list form, and I'll just print result as a gentleman. And let's give this a try. So after running this, boom, you can see we've successfully added this. So 1 plus 6, we got 7. 2 plus 7, that is 9, and so on. So you can see we have been able to use the map function using multiple iterables. So this is pretty simple. And one thing I didn't tell you earlier on is that instead of taking list, you can also take a tuple. So you can see we have the tuple here instead of a list. So this is a brief overview about the map function in Python and how you can use this effectively. In this tutorial, you can see we are just using some quick example of numbers, but imagine having thousands of images and you are doing image pre-processing, and you have a function that can take image, resize them, blur them, and apply several transformations to this image. Combining that function with the map function, you can see you can apply this function to all your images more efficiently, and also by writing a less number of code. And that's the power of the map function. Okay, so to summarize everything, the map function is a powerful tool for transforming data in Python. It allows you to apply a function to every element in an iterable. And don't forget, example of iterables are lists, tuples, or strings. So map function can make your code cleaner and often more efficient. If you have any questions regarding to the map function, make sure you leave it in the comment section. And up until then, I'll see you in the next tutorial. Thanks for watching.